Hi everyone, I'm under here somewhere. You may say, Patrick, why do you have a pot full of dead leaves? And you would have a right to ask that question because that's exactly what this is, right? But it wasn't always looking like this. This was very lush and green, and then cold weather came along, which it naturally does. And now it's time to harvest this. What is this? This is turmeric. This is one of, I've got about 12 of these. I use a lot of turmeric in my recipes and tinctures and all sorts of wonderful things. And growing my own just makes more sense. I can control what's in it, what goes in it, and just the outcome of what the end product is. So what I'm going to be doing right now is taking it out of the pot to harvest this turmeric. And this is not a large harvest. This is a rather small one, actually. I have several of these, well, 12, I just said that, but the whole purpose of growing it isn't just because I know what the quality is, but also it's just a lot of fun. It's easy, and I think it's a lot of fun. Now this is just a smaller side piece, so this piece I'm actually going to be replanting for the next harvest. See, it's just a little one there. This is a baby. So the baby I will put back in the pot. It's going to get repotted. What we're looking for are mature roots. And this is a smaller harvest, so I'm not anticipating anything too large, but it'll be perfect for what we're doing today. All right, fantastic. So these are just some smaller eyes here. Very fresh. Oh, and it smells terrific. I love the smell of fresh turmeric. You can get it at the store. Look at those. Those will make lovely new plants as well. So I'm going to harvest out what I can here. And the change in weather is a good thing. It encourages me to get to work on this sort of thing. It is actually today, here's the odd thing. Here I am in Northeast Texas, and today it's going to be nearly 80 degrees. It was almost 80 degrees yesterday. Now in my larger pots, these will be quadruple this size. But for what we're doing, these are just right. So I'm just going to set those roots aside and pick out any pieces. Well, one other advantage, by the way, to growing your own and harvesting your own. If you're doing it for the juice, you will find that what's at the store has already started to desiccate, to dry out. So using it fresh like this, you'll get a lot more juice than you do from the store-bought. But generally, like I said, generally you're going to be buying much bigger roots, in the store, because they come from, matter of fact, when I harvest the larger pots, I'll do a video on that as well and show you the difference in the size is based on the size of the pot. This is not a really large pot. But you can see I'm still getting a nice little harvest here of turmeric. Isn't that lovely? And I do suggest, if you're growing roots, order it from an organic supplier. Don't be careful. I mean, you can plant and grow it right from the supermarket, but make sure, wherever possible, that you know where it came from and how it was grown. So yeah, there's some nice little nubs here. I'm really looking forward to this. So what I'm going to be using this for, I'm going to be juicing this. small bit here just for a soap that I'm getting ready to make, which is going to be a gradient soap. Alright, so now we're back to put our soap together here. I've got my goat milk here, which is already frozen, and boy is it frozen. I had weighed out my my goat milk cubes and put them in here. I was going to make the soap. Something came up and I got delayed, so I stuck this back in the freezer. So the whole thing is kind of frozen up here, but the lye will certainly warm things up and get it to dissolving. I'll get a little more centered here. And in case you're one of those folks that wonder why I'm not wearing gloves, much of the time, depending on what I'm working on, especially when working on larger recipes, I do wear gloves. But for a small amount like this, I don't. I've not been burned. I've not had an injury. Doesn't mean one can't happen. I do have eye protection on, so that in the event something splashes up, and it did one time. Well, and I was so grateful I had glasses on, because the very thing that people are afraid of happening did happen. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to melt here. So I'm just giving it a bit of a, I'm going to continue to just add to it. Alright, so we've almost got it completely melted down now. Thank you for your patience. That's why I sped it up, as this process can sometimes be a little slow and I can get too gabby sometimes while waiting for my goat milk to dissolve. So I thought I'd give you a break here. I so wanted to just make soap. I have needed to make soap. And those of you that are soap makers will know what I mean. I've been busy making some custom things for people, salves and tinctures and things such as that, but I love making soap. That is one of my all-time joys in life. Okay, our goat milk is now dissolved and at the right temperature. Let's get our oils and butters and put this together. All right. You know, the one thing that I didn't take into consideration was that the more of the turmeric that I added would thicken the soap. And after I started pouring it, I remembered this from a previous soap that I had done. There is something about the reaction of the turmeric where if I added none, the soap stayed very thin. If I added just a little, it thickened a little. If I added more, it was a little thicker. And then that final one where I added the most, that one really thickened up really quickly. So unfortunately, I was not able to do the slow gradient pour into the mold that I had planned to do. So this was more of what I call a dirty pour, meaning I went to all that trouble of pouring the rings into the to the pitcher, and then just had to plop it into the mold, which, you know, there's still, you know, some variation in it, and I was pleased with the soap. I like it very much. But it was not what I had intended. I was hoping for sort of a slow gradient from the bottom of the soap going up to the top. And I just had this picture in my head. And I do know how to do that, by the way. I know how to pour a gradient. I've done that before, just doing single colors and pouring directly into the mold. But I was just trying something different here and just forgot about turmeric and when it's just pure turmeric juice. Now, if you used a powder, you may get quite a different reaction. I've used powders as well. But when using the fresh juice, I have noticed in the past that it can cause a thickening. So that's just something for you to take into consideration if you're using the fresh juice as well in your soap, that the more you use, the quicker it can accelerate trace. But I did make sure prior to ever adding the color to it that I had already brought my soap to full trace. So adding the color didn't prevent it from going to trace. It just made it much thicker, much quicker. And that's okay. You know, there are times when I really enjoy the surprise, or it wasn't so much a surprise. I mean, I realized it was happening at the time and was reminded of what had happened in the past. But still, there is mystery and new surprises that can come to us when we're making soaps. And to me, that's the pleasure of it. But even more pleasurable is knowing you're here with me. Thank you so very much, everyone. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Leave a comment if you like, and click that bell if you want to see more of similar videos. Have a fantastic day, everyone, and I'll see you back soon. Goodbye.